All right, looking at polynomials with two variables, and we are going to factor them. So this is from section 3.8. So we're going to treat these type of questions extremely similarly to what we were doing with decomposition. And our first step is going to take the coefficient of that lead squared term, and we're going to multiply it by the coefficient of the last term. So it's very similar to doing A times C. But in this case, the C value is actually the coefficient of another term here. So we're kind of like disregarding these B values here. So I'm still going to be looking for a number, a pair of numbers that are going to multiply together to get 6. So two numbers that multiply together to get 6. And they're going to add together to get minus 7, which is the coefficient of that middle term. So they still have to add together to get minus 7. So factors of 6, 1 and 6, that's going to be the pair that's going to add up to be 7. We check our sign here is negative, so when we multiplied we got a positive product, which means both sides are the same. Food's done. We got a minus sign here, a negative sign here, so we're going to choose this pair and they will be negative. Now that's what we're going to use to decompose that middle term. So we have 2a squared minus 1ab minus 6ab plus 3b squared, and we're going to decompose exactly as we did before. So it's challenging to try and get our 6's and our b's to look different. First thing we're going to do is check this first pair of terms. So what is common here? So I have what looks to be just A, and there's no B on this term, so I'm just going to factor out A. What's left when I factor out A? I have 2A and minus 1B. So I can just write that as minus B. When I go to look at the second pair of terms, I see a 3 is common. I want that lead term to be positive, so I'm going to factor out a negative as well. So I'm going to factor out minus 3. And there's a b that's common in both as well, so I'm going to bring that out. And what is left inside the bracket, what is left from these terms when I factor that out? So positive 2 times minus 3 will get me the minus 6. And then I'm just going to have that a left over because the b is gone, and that's a good sign over here. And then because I factored out a negative, this is going to turn into a minus sign, a negative sign, and 3b squared. If I factor out 3b, I'm left with just b. And this is what we want to see. We want to see that these two things are common in both of these terms, so I can rewrite this as writing out the common term out front. We're going to factor that out, and then what's left goes in the bracket next to it because we are doing decomposition, and this should be our answer. Now what we're going to want to do is, if we have time, we can expand this out and check if it makes sense. We want to end up with what we started with. So 2a times, we'll do it in green, 2a times a is 2a squared, 2a times minus 3b is minus 6ab, minus b times a is minus ab, and then minus b times minus 3b is going to be positive 3b squared. We combine our two like terms here in the middle. We get 2a squared minus 7ab plus 3b squared, and that is what we started with up here, so that works. So this is going to be our final answer here in terms of what are the factors. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pause the video, and you're going to try this next one over here. Okay, so looking at the second example, let's see how quick we can go. So nothing common. Once again, over here, we got to check to see if there's any common factors in each term, and in this case, there are not. So I'm looking at my kind of my A and C value, but in this case it's got another variable in there. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to get 30. And it's going to be positive 30 I'm going to be looking for, because this is positive and this is positive. So two numbers that multiply together to get me 30. And those same two numbers have to add together to get me minus 13. So I know once again my factors are both going to be negative. So 1 times 30, 2 times 15, and 3 times 10. That's going to give us the 13. And they both have to be negative in order for us to have the minus here when we add them together, the negative sum. So we're going to decompose this, 5c squared, and then we do the minus 3cd minus 10cd plus 6d squared. What is common in the first two terms? So it looks like just c. Factor the c out, and we're left with 5c and minus 3d. We look at the second pair, looks like a 2. We want that lead coefficient of that first term in the brackets to be a positive value, so we're going to take out this negative. Take out negative 2, and then there is a d in both of them as well, so we're going to put a d out front. What is left? We've got 5 and a c, so double check that. Minus 2 times 5 is minus 10, and then I've got the d times c is cd, or c times d, whatever way you want to do it. And if I take out 2d, that's negative, so divide out, so I'm left with a 3 and a single d here. And if I wasn't cheating, I can see now that I'm on a good path here, that this is the same. So we're going to write that out front. That's our common factor between both of those new terms. And whatever's left over is going to go into our other bracket. So we have c here, and then we've got the minus 2d from the second factoring that we did. And that's your answer.